China is defending a preliminary trade deal with Canada, emphasizing the agreement does not target what Beijing calls third parties. U.S. President Donald Trump had planned to impose 100% tariffs on Canadian products if Beijing and Ottawa finalized that deal. Now, China's foreign ministry spokesperson called on nations to approach bilateral relations with a win-win mindset and through cooperation. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says the country has no intention of pursuing a free trade deal with China, clarifying that agreements made with Beijing are aimed at rectifying long-standing issues. Both countries announcing a new strategic partnership as well as a preliminary trade deal following Mr. Carney's visit to Beijing earlier this month. The initial trade agreement would slash tariffs on Chinese EVs in exchange for lower levies on Canadian canola. The deal opens the door to thousands of lower-cost EV imports to Canada each year, and that means more affordable options and a chance to expand trade beyond the U.S. Critics, however, are warning it could put Canadian auto jobs at risk. Karina Huber files this report for CNA from Montreal.
The latest vehicles for Canadian consumers are on display at the Montreal International Auto Show. More than 30 brands are here, and roughly 40% of the lineup is electric.
Quebec is known for the EV market across Canada. I think we're #1 across Canada, if I'm not mistaken. And the Montreal Auto Show is just perfect for them. They can cross-shop all the cars under one roof, and they can choose whatever they want.
Vehicles from Europe, the United States, South Korea, and Japan are on display. What you don't see are Chinese-made cars, despite China being the world's top EV producer.
That's set to change with Canada's recent decision to reduce tariffs from 100% to 6.1% on up to 49,000 Chinese EVs per year. That amounts to roughly 3% of annual car sales in Canada.
The policy shift follows a landmark meeting in January between Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and Chinese President Xi Jinping, who agreed to lower tariffs on Canadian agricultural products in return. The deal also supports Canada's goal of doubling non-U.S. trade over the next decade, as relations with the U.S., its largest trading partner, grow more strained. Diversifying partners is what Carney calls a necessary shift for a new world order.
We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers.
Canadian consumers looking for more affordable options could benefit. Chinese-made EVs can cost $10,000 to $15,000 less than comparable models and receive strong reviews.
China hasn't just caught up. They've jumped far over the rest of the world, and their cars are very good.
Nevertheless, Mordu says Chinese automakers will face hurdles entering the Canadian market.
Selling and distributing vehicles requires an infrastructure, and it requires regulatory approval to sell individual cars in the Canadian market.
BYD and other Chinese EV makers don't have that infrastructure yet. But Western brands like Tesla, which manufacture in China, already do, and could be among the first Chinese-made EVs to benefit. Tesla has equipped its Shanghai plant to build and export a Canada-specific Model Y and has a network of 39 stores across the country, giving it an advantage. Canada's EV manufacturing footprint is currently limited. Stellantis builds the Dodge Charger Daytona EV in Ontario, but sales have been weak. General Motors shelved plans last year to produce EVs at an Ontario plant once slated to be Canada's first full-scale EV facility. Its future is uncertain. While Canada's EV output is minimal at the moment, Unifor, the union representing Canadian auto workers, warns Chinese EVs could threaten Canadian jobs in the long run. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is calling for a boycott of Chinese EVs. Others worry about antagonizing Trump as Canada prepares to review its free trade agreement with the U.S. But Julian Karagesian, a former special advisor at Canada's finance ministry, says trying to appease Trump hasn't helped.
The spear point of Trump's trade policies is to get auto production back into the United States. No American cars were going to be made outside of the United States. They're going to come home from Mexico. They're going to come home from Canada. So we're losing auto production from this administration. So we might as well do what's in our interests.
To ease some of the labor concerns, Prime Minister Mark Carney says the deal could attract joint ventures and Chinese investment. But with Trump officials vowing to block any Chinese EVs from entering the U.S., marketing Canada as a destination could be a tough sell.
Then again, Chinese officials tend to think long-term, and the Trump administration won't last forever. That could mean more Chinese EVs appearing in Canadian showrooms before long. Karina Huber, CNA, Montreal.